R7, I think it wins on price, wins on styling, and it is a actual usable sport bike on public roads, which, if you're getting into motorcycling, you don't want something that you're going to be utterly miserable or that you can't utilize most of the power of when you're actually out on the road. Rightio guys, welcome back to the Waipapa Dam, one of my favourite wee spots to come and take some pictures of bikes. And today we've got another sports bike in the shed, YZF R7. So I picked this up the other day from Yamaha in Auckland, and I haven't really had a chance to ride it. The weather's been a bit rubbish, and yeah, I don't imagine sports bikes are really the kind of bike you go out and have a hoon on when it's pouring with rain. So yeah, finally got a chance to come out and have a play on it. This is the Lambs version. For those not in the know, Lambs is learner approved motorcycle scheme. So this has a 655cc CP2 engine in it rather than the 689. So yeah, so far as I can tell, it is a little bit weak when it comes to top end power. There's not really a lot there, but the chassis is really what it's all about, isn't it? So you've got your adjustable suspension front and rear, 17-inch tyres, Bridgestone Battle Axe tyres. What have we got? S22Rs, and you've got a massive 180 section rear here. So full on proper sport bike chassis. Let's flick that on. Yeah, not really going to be carrying a pillion on this, unless your pillion can sit on your hand, sort of thing. Doesn't look the most comfortable. Alright, record. Helps to push the right button. So, yeah, figured give you a little first impressions, because all I've done really on this bike is ride it down on the highway. And as you can imagine, it's not really a highway bike. This is more of a twisty road, back road, have fun bike. So let's hopefully go for a quick blast down the road and get into some twisties. So it's very wet at the moment. We've had a lot of rain lately, so hopefully the roads along here are neither busy nor damp. So first off, this has the optional quick shifter. So it's just a single direction quick shifter. It's not an up-down unit like most bikes tend to be getting these days. But this isn't like most bikes, is it? It sort of, in a way, replaces the R6 in the Yamaha lineup. R6 is track only now. And I think that's because of emissions. And the R7 is quite a fun bike from what I gather so far. Like I said, this is pretty much a first impressions ride. Haven't had many chances to ride it yet. But it makes a lot of sense really, because it's not overpowered, it's not high strung, it's got quite usable power, so you can focus on your line and not mucking that up, rather than controlling the power of the bike. Starting to get a bit moist up here. So yeah, like I said, this is the Lambs version. It comes in two versions here in New Zealand. You've got the learner approved bike with its 655cc engine, and then you've also got the HO variant, HO for high output. And not gonna lie, I think I'd probably prefer an HO, but as a learner sport bike that looks exactly what you want a sport bike to look like, it's full size, and it doesn't really have any competition. You can technically get an RS660 in lambs, but it has to be special ordered and you gotta wait 6 months for it, from what I'm told. Where this, Yamaha has heaps of these, and they are quite sharply priced from what I understand. I'll put the price up on the screen. Try and focus a wee bit, it's getting a wee bit damper. I am not really a sport bike rider these days. So that CP2 engine is, as always, a lovely, lovely engine. You can't get an Akrapovic exhaust for this. So long as it's a slip-on, it is lambs legal. If you go for a full system, then yeah, technically not lambs anymore. Yay, my camera's still there. There's a lovely chassis this, especially with my flowers on it. And it's just so much fun here on the back roads. Like, I'm in third gear, and it feels quite engaging. But yeah, top end's not really there. But again, this is a land spec bike. If you want a sport bike that you can ride on any license, but you don't want, say, a Ninja 400, which is, let's face it, a much different bike. Got what, Ninja 400 R3. Trying to think of lamb sport bikes. You can get a CBR 650, but that's based on the CB 650R. And oh, gravel's not really this bike's jam. Yeah, so CB 650R I think would be this bike's direct competitor. It also comes as lambs, but from what I understand, it doesn't have the ground clearance that this bike has. So this bike's an actual proper sport bike chassis. You could track day this and have an absolute blast. Yes, you get absolutely annihilated on the straights, but in the corners you would have the time of your life. Brakes are quite nice actually. In terms of the money, I think this bike's really quite hard to beat. So I think my Honda is a good couple of grand more expensive. And yes, the Honda's a 4-cylinder, but hey, if you're in the lambs market, you are basically going to be pretty competitive on performance, because they're all restricted to 150 kilowatts per tonne. So go for the one that stirs your heart. And so LCD screen, not a TFT, which I thought it did have a TFT for some reason, but it's got all the things you want on there. Got a tacho, speedo, fuel gauge, gear position indicator, and it even tells you that the quick shifter is fitted. It's quite a lovely bike, this these. A bit painful on the highway. It is a very aggressive riding position. So if you haven't ridden bikes before, you might find this a bit of a challenge to start your career on, I think. Like that Speed Triple Double R I brought down here at the beginning of the year That had a less aggressive riding position than this is, and that was a 1200cc triple. But in terms of a fun, usable sport bike, like, let's keep in mind, speeds are technically limited to 110 max here in New Zealand, and 110 you're only going to get it on an expressway, which is, let's face it, rather boring. I think this is quite a cool option. Now, don't drop it in the gravel mat, because that would not be pretty. It's got big, beautiful fairings. By the way, I'm pulling over because I'm rather worried about my camera I've got hanging off the side of this. And I need to pee. Camera's still there, hooray! So, let's go over a few things that in my very short time with this bike I like, things I don't like. So, styling, number one thing. It looks hot, doesn't it? Like, you can't really get an R6 anymore. An R1 is very expensive and, in my opinion, very unusable on the road nowadays. Sport bikes have just gotten so hyper-focused on performance on the track that they kind of don't work on roads anymore. The brakes, they work really well. I actually quite like them. Just sort of feed it in and it just stops the bike. Riding position, it's a bit too aggressive for my liking. But then again, I have put on a hell of a lot of weight, and yeah, contorting to a super sport chassis is a bit harder than it used to be. But the number one thing I love about this bike is, of course, that engine. So, 655cc parallel twin. It's the same engine that you get in the MT-07, the Lunar approved one anyway. It's sleeved down from the engine you get in the full power MT-07 and Tenere 700. So what we've got, a naked bike, a sport bike and an adventure bike. Come on Yamaha, give us a CP2 powered scooter. Make it a quadruplet. But R7, I think it wins on price, wins on styling, and it is a actual usable sport bike on public roads, which, if you're getting into motorcycling, you don't want something that you're going to be utterly miserable or that you can't utilize most of the power of when you're actually out on the road. So I think this bike's quite a winner. This has just been a sort of first impressions test ride. I won't bore you with all the highway footage and stuff like that. I have started to quite enjoy myself once you get away from the motorway, which, let's face it, that's what this kind of bike's for. I used to commute with a guy, I just happened to follow him. He used to commute on an R6 and would be lane splitting through Auckland all the time, and I never sort of gotten away from the fact of thinking that that guy must have really, really loved that R6, but that commuting experience must have been miserable. A high-strung R6 commuting, you could do it with the R7. It's just such a nice, flexible engine. You've got that CP2. Anyway, this has sort of been the first impressions ride. I think I'll leave it there. Got to make sure I've got all the photos done correctly and all that. There will be a full review coming to the YouTube channel soon, which will be sort of my usual voiceover, lots of pretty visuals. And there'll also be a written story coming to onthrottle.co.nz, which, that's my website. That's what started this whole thing. So if you could check out onthrottle.co.nz, that is where I publish a lot more stuff, really, because YouTube, it takes a wee while. I publish one thing a week on Throttle. I update it as often as I possibly can. So that is what I do. I am a semi-professional, part-time motor journalist. So check it out. Thanks for watching this vid. Look for the full review with all the fancy specs and pricing and everything coming very soon to the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.
Hey guys, me again. Thank you once again for checking out this video on the On Throttle channel. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and that will go a long way for growing the channel. If you want to contribute in a more financial way, if that's something that you are in a position to do, we do have a Buy Me a Coffee account. Link in the description below. It costs as little as $3 or $5. Essentially, you're buying me a coffee and helping fuel On Throttle.